everybody, the cobwebs have been brushed off, as it were, and welcome back to an episode of Beyond the Sim Rig. For those of you who don't know what this little series is, I invite a person onto this kind of mini interview podcast where we talk about their life, what's going on with Gavra, what's going on in their lives outside of Gavra, as well as some real racing stuff. So watch out for that at the end. My guest for this episode is the one and only Tigerasassin. He oversaw the admin duties of all of the F1 leagues for the first time last season, and away from the track we have become quite close, and is indeed my teammate in GT Sport, where we managed to wrap up another Constructors Championship there last year. I hope that you will enjoy listening to our conversation as much as we had fun recording it, and watch out over the next few weeks because there's going to be a lot more of this to come. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. So, Tiger, are you there?
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm very good. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm not too bad myself.
All right, cool. So, first things first, how did you get involved in Gavra to begin with?
Um, my introduction with Gavra was an interesting one. I was actually commentating on like a really small league. Didn't have much presence in the community, and obviously Gav must have watched one of their streams, and he said, "Would you like to come and commentate?" And I said, "Why not?" I said, "I'd love to." So I did my first um commentary in like the academy, and then from then on it just went up and up.
Yeah, obviously commentary. You take a big role in that. I think becoming the head commentator, head of broadcasting, or something along those lines. Last year. I mean, how have you found that side? I think probably the person who's commentated on the most stuff in Gavra at the moment. But yeah,
uh,
how do you find that?
I know, yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's because especially because it keeps you sort of following all the different leagues, and you really get into it in terms of obviously the racing, and it's always so exciting. Well, most of the time anyway, unless you have that odd race where it might be a little bit boring, but you know that happens in racing, and you know you still got to commentate your best over it, and yeah, so you know the racing's always exciting, and yeah, I always um love commentating and you know talking to the people in the chat as well, and you know the people in the chat always enjoy the streams as well, so it must be doing something right.
All right, so we'll kick off with a kind of a major question here for this talking point. What do you think has been the best race that you've commentated on in Gavra or just in general?
Oh, I mean that's a big question. That that's I mean I know me and you have commentated on many good races. Um, in terms of the best race I've ever commentated on, I mean there's so many to choose from. I mean, going back to like that three-way battle in the academy in Bahrain, that was an absolute crack. I mean, Bahrain for us has always been a brilliant race. That's probably one of my favorite tracks to commentate on is Bahrain because it always provides like really good racing. So as a commentator to watch that and commentate on it's always amazing. Um, so yeah, something like that. I mean, any race really where there's been like a huge moment where there's something quite drastic has happened has always been a favorite of mine. Like for example, when Holland and Pepperlek crashed in like the first season of the freshman, if you remember that, to saying back then that was a big moment in Spa. I think this season in the Super League as well, there's been big moments like the ones when there was a couple of we had a couple of punctures in Bahrain. We had a yeah, we've had some really good races. I mean, all
Can
season
you
to be
pick one?
honest. It really is a difficult question. Um, for me, I'm gonna go Bahrain. I'm gonna go Bahrain in the academy. I'm gonna go for that three-way battle that we had for the lead. It was quite extraordinary.
Oh,
That one,
there you
yeah,
have it
I'll
then,
go for
ladies.
that race then. Between what was it? Between Rick Holt, Mr. Schumacher, and Aston, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
those three.
did I
Yeah.
get that right? Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, it was a really good race, that one.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The F1 admin's favorite ever race, Season 3 Academy Bahrain. Good one. I would have picked that one as well. But although there probably aren't very many of you who don't know, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? So, like, where you're from, what series that you raced in or currently racing.
All right. Yeah, I'm from the UK, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it. It has like many different names for no reason at all. Um, I race in the GT Sport in the Group A. Obviously, there's two GT Sport leagues now, and I was racing in the Premier Series as well.
Right,
And yeah,
cool. So we'll kick off with F1 then. So your first season at the helm in the F1 leagues. How have you found that so far? That quite demanding role in Gavra Racing.
what as admin or as driver?
Admin. We'll get to
As
driver in a sec.
admin, okay, yeah. As admin, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. I'll give you that. Uh, it's one of those things really where you have to be patient with it, and you have to be resilient. Um, in things like a lot, you got to make a lot of decisions on different things. Um, I think one of the biggest decisions I had to make really this season was in terms of the ghosting, whether ghosting was going to be on and off. We had a lot of problems with AI cars. That was a big decision for me, but I think all right. I think it's gone definitely been successful. It's been a challenge, but one that I feel like I've stepped up to, and I hope to continue the F1 leagues further and hope they become bigger and better.
Hmm, true. And what do you think's been the most challenging league to manage out of the four or five,
Well,
six
I'm gonna.
categories?
I'll be open and honest with you, right? And they know who they are, but it's gonna be the freshman league for me. Um, it's. I really still to this day cannot put a finger on why all of those. Well, it could. It's a series of things, but you can't really whittle it down to one specific thing, which is why the freshman league was so challenging. It. I don't think people realized how hard I really tried to work on that league to make the standard of racing better. But I'm still adamant to keep it to make it better. But yeah, for that really throughout the entire season, I think that league was definitely the toughest to manage.
All right. Well, looking forward to the future then, which will be considering the freshman league. After a full season in charge, what are your plans for next season? Are we going to see a change in the format? Maybe a new non-assists league, and we'll get to new tracks in a sec.
Um, it's depending on the numbers, it's most likely we're going to see a non-assist league. I definitely think that's something moving forward, which is something that we need because I am aware that a lot of the drivers now use no assists, and it would be good for them, obviously, to be in their own league because then other people aren't going to have those advantages of, say, traction control or ABS, or it'd be a lot more balanced between all of the drivers. Um, in terms of the format will stay this. It's obviously nothing's confirmed. I'm still waiting for the new game to come out, which is in July. As soon as that new game comes out, I will be doing rigorous testing all the way up until the new season, just trying a load of things. There will be test races as we did like when the new 2020 game came out. We'll be doing those again. Because that's always a good thing just to get an assess and see which things are going to work. But I believe for me at the moment, the format will stay the same. It'll still be Academy Freshman Premier Super. The race length, the cars will all stay the same. Obviously, I'm looking at this no assist league, depending on the numbers, how many people sign up. Um, and I believe the in terms of like if you wanted to know about sort of sprint races or reverse grids, um, that is all still to be finalized. It is a consideration because I think it would be awesome. I think it'd be something which would completely change up a season. Because quite a lot of the time we've had season after season of, it's just a 50% race, or, it's just like race after race. Whereas something like maybe you have to work from the back, or top eight, top tens reversed or something like that. I think it would be a very interesting concept, and something that I would be willing, and I would love to try out in the league.
All right, nice one. So, last season, first full year for you in F1, driving in the Premier Series, a series that, ironically, both of the other podcast hosts have won, and me and Natty. You finished down in 11th place come the end of play. Were you happy with your performance over the course of the year, or do you think there was a big room for improvement?
I think in some cases there was. I mean, there's always room for improvement. You can never, nothing's ever perfect. There's always definitely room for some improvement. I think going from, obviously I did pretty much an entire full freshman league season beforehand. Obviously, I came in for Willie Sank, who dropped out about 4 or 5 races into the season. So hopped in there, and I felt like that freshman season was all right. But going into the when I found out I was in Premier, because obviously I'd done all the prelim races, and I found out myself I was in Premier, I was like, okay, wow. Um, to get 11th, I was pretty happy with that. I feel like definitely some races there could have been uh, things could have been different. I think definitely China could have been a lot different. Zandvoort, I think races towards the start of the season, apart from Bahrain, I think I definitely struggled a lot. But once I got into the league, into the groove of things, it was, yeah. Because obviously it was my first full season in F1. I'd never really done any proper league racing in F1. I'd always stayed over on GT Sport. That was something that was more more catered towards myself. But yeah, no, I feel like definitely room to improve. But to be but 11th starting off in the Premier for a full season is not bad at all.
Certainly not. Certainly not. Can definitely hold your head high over that one. Over the off season, what do you think? Out of all the things that you need to improve on, would be the main thing, the main focus of your off season preparation?
I think in terms of F1, I think it's definitely just more consistency, more just getting quicker as well. I think the driving style of F1 is not necessarily suited to me, so I've got to really sort of practice over there a lot more. Um, Try using no assists like a lot more as well. Definitely in the new game, I'll be having all the assists off. Um, and I'll be proper practicing with those. But yeah, it's just getting consistency and just getting faster as well. Like obviously, like I practice, as you said, I practice with you, and a lot of other people in the Super League quite a lot of the time. And I'm always like, well, how are you getting these times? But it's just it's just getting quicker through those corners, and just, yeah, just a lot more practice is needed. But yeah, I'll definitely be um definitely considering signing up again for F1 next season. I'm not sure though, because obviously I'm still going to manage all of it. I've got GD Sport as well, so but I definitely will be considering definitely signing up again next season for F1 as well.
All right, cool. So, speaking of GT Sport, we'll move over to that. So, season three, my teammate over in the BCMR crew, taking home another Constructors Championship. You seem to do a lot better on GT Sport. What do you think is the main reason for this?
I think with GT Sport, I honestly really don't know. I think maybe it could be the cars are slower, maybe, so I can be a lot more precise with what I do. I can get more out of the car. I think also though, I think that just the driving style and the way the game handles is a lot more catered towards myself. I think it's find it a lot more enjoyable. Yeah, I've always liked GT Sport. I've always been quicker in GT Sport than I have in F1 over the many years I've been playing both of the games. So I really don't know what it is. I think definitely those factors. I think maybe the slower cars, also the, yeah, just the driving style of the game as well is probably the two main factors in why I'm considerably quicker in that game than I am in F1.
All right, and so, I mean, over the course of a season three, third in the championship, were you happy with that performance? I mean, I know it's a different kind of skill set maybe to F1 to drive GT3 cars compared to the big downforce levels in modern day Formula One, but were you happy with that performance over the course of the season, or well, especially compared to season two? Do you feel like there was a lot more you could have built upon maybe for season three?
I think season three was I was slightly disappointed by season three, if I'm honest. Obviously, getting second last season, um, and I was at that point where I was kind of challenging Dutchy at that point for that championship. Felt like I'd won a lot more races the previous season before, where this time I'd only won one. So I was a little bit disappointed on that front. But to be fair, getting the constructors again and getting third place, that's definitely something to, you know, it's definitely still a great achievement. And yeah, hopefully we can both come back next season and really take the fight to Mr. Play Dutchy up front. But yeah, I think a little bit disappointed I didn't get a few more wins, but you know, oh no, I think it was still definitely a successful season for us two and just in general for myself as well.
What race do you point to in that particular and say, if only that little thing had been different, could have had a much better result, maybe even the win, if we go back to thinking about season three?
I think in some cases, my qualifying really let me down last year. I think in terms of the league was so much closer this season. My qualifying was a big letdown. I qualified somewhere like seventh in Lago Maggiore, which was I was really, really frustrated and really disappointed with. And I got caught. Obviously, when starting in seventh, you just get caught up in so much traffic. As you know, I just fell so far behind you and Dutchy up front. I just couldn't. There was just nothing I could do. So I think qualifying definitely let me down because I noticed definitely when I had a good qualifying I would have a very good race. I would be able to keep up there in that sort of that top three, top four bracket and be able to fight for that win. Whereas if I'd had a poor qualifying, I think yeah, it was a difficult one. I think as well that car choice in Group Four. I think that Viper was all right, but I think it was so difficult to get any overtakes and fight with that Viper. It was a difficult one, but I think for me to work on it is quality, and then especially now, I know you're going to ask me the question a little bit later about the wheel, which I'll get onto that. But yeah, I think qualifying, for me was definitely the biggest point where that needs to be improved if I want to, keep on challenging for the top spots.
All right, and moving into season four, what is your main target? What's your focus over the winter to try and, take the challenge to
I think it
Dutchy? What's your main
has
target?
to, it has to be to challenge Dutchy, isn't it? Really, I think even for both of us, really, we have to just take the fight to him. We can't let him have three championships in a row. That's
No,
you
that's
know,
simply not allowed. That simply is
he's
not
he's
allowed.
he's
Yeah.
not going to be the Lewis Hamilton of the GT Sport League. Okay, he is. We will stop that man. Um, hopefully. Um, yeah, I think that's definitely the main focus is trying to look for that drivers. Obviously, constructors again is always something that we're going to have to try and take big pride in and try and work for again. But I think definitely going for that drivers championship as well would be a big thing for either one of us, to be honest.
Great. And what track would you like to see on the calendar next season? I know well, we've both had some interesting conversations trying to work out what tracks Natty's put on the calendar. Let's see if we're right or not come the release of it. But yeah, what track would you personally like to see back on the calendar?
Well, firstly, Nat is a big sneaky. He knows what he's doing in terms of his testing, um, and in terms of his track selection. But in terms of track I want to see come back, a lot of people who know me will know this answer, but I want to see my favorite track. I want to see Mount Panorama back on that calendar. I don't know why I like the track so much. I think it's just how technical it is. I think it's always keeps you on edge. And I think really it's one of those tracks where you have a lot of people relate to. So you know, when you have that one track that you're really good at, like, and you just don't know why. That you have that, like, I'm sure to saying, do you might have a track where you might have a track that you're way quicker than above the rest of the other tracks in say F1 or something like that. But
Yeah,
I think
unfortunately for me, mine is Barcelona, so we've never actually
Barcelona,
raced there, yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we've
So
never
you,
actually raced there.
but you know what I mean though. You have that one track which you just can find time out of, and I think for me, I think that's my case with Mount Panorama, and it always seems to be is I noticed in season 2 it was always that technical section through the S's going down the hill was always the place where I would find the time on that track. But yeah, I'd love to see Mount Panorama come back. And hopefully take the win again there, like I did last season. But um, we'll have to see what happens. There's a lot of pressure on my shoulders now to take
You
that win.
you said that now. I know it has to happen. All right. Anyway, so next question. As you said before, you've been using a wheel recently, Logitech G29, for those of you wondering which model it was. What's been the most challenging thing about that so far? I know, like, we've been in the party sometimes, and you even texted me saying you're having a few troubles just with the cars feeling a bit unstable. But what do you think is the main cause of that kind of imbalance?
I think with the wheel, it's all about patience, really. um, keeping staying patient with it and just working through it is something that I don't have a lot of patience, um, which is why I've struggled to keep with it. But yeah, I think patience and especially in GT Sport, I think at first I found the cars to be really unstable. I think it's about finding good settings and a good setup with your wheel as well in terms of how you're positioned in terms of how you sat. Um, and I think as well how your force feedback is as well. What you're more comfortable with. I've got a really good setup now I'm going with, which has really helped me. But yeah, it's all about patience. And with GT Sport, to say you'll know it's so vital on your corner exit in GT Sport. It's that's something that is key um,
Oh
in
yeah,
in the
certainly.
games. Yeah, so it's something that really is key. So, I mean, it's just carrying the most speed you can through the corners and the corner exits, which I was struggling with, but I feel like I'm getting back up to speed now on that. I mean, I was using it in F1 in the freshman. I went, you know what? I'm just going to go into the freshman league. When I first got my wheel, I went, I'm just going to go and get the experience on the wheel that I can. I was using it this season in the Premier as well, but yeah, hopefully now I can use it in GT Sport, really push as hard as I can and get quicker. But yeah, I used to. So some people might not know. I used to use the controller, but I used to use the motion sensor function, which is when you don't use the analog stick and you turn the controller like it is a wheel, which is it was an
Which
interesting one, which I somehow used to make work, and everyone used to go, "How in the hell do you do that?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I just made it work."
is
Um,
very disorientating for those of you who use the control in its traditional method or who use a wheel. If you haven't tried it, I would suggest trying it on GT Sport and then, booking yourself in for an exorcism. But
yeah, give it a try, and then you'll honestly question how I managed to win races with that. It's yeah, but as I said, hopefully next season GT Sport I can really get up to speed on it, which I am now. And yeah, and fight for wins on that as well. But it's all about patience, and it's all about just keeping with it and just get the practice in, and then you will get there. Yeah, yeah,
right,
it's a challenging one, the wheel, but yeah, it should pay off eventually, hopefully.
all right. So we talked about obviously that the big man played Dutchy, but you have to team up with him in just over a month at Le Mans in the GT Sport 24-hour event in the BCMR Group One team. Do you think that they'll be able to take the overall victory? I mean, what are your main goals for that race, the big
I
one?
think I think definitely. I think if we have no surprise, if we have no real big surprises, I think we're gonna do very well in it. Definitely interested to see who will be close to us. I think definitely a couple of teams could be. Um, but yeah, I think there's no huge surprises. I think we should do relatively well in the in the 24 hours. I think for me on an individual level, I think it's once again, I think it's about getting that experience on the wheel. I think it's really just because obviously it's long stints. It's that keeping that consistency, which is definitely something that I seriously need to work on this wheel is the consistency part. So the 3 hours of Spa and then the 24 hours of Le Mans, I think is definitely going to be something big and crucial to me personally in helping me on the wheel to going into the next season. But I think in terms as a team, I think we'll definitely do very well in the thing, and hopefully we can bring home the victory royale at the end.
The sweet epic victory royale. There we go.
Yeah.
So, how are your preparations for the event going at the moment? You talk about consistency. Has that been your main focus? Just doing laps, getting through race programs and stuff like that, getting to the pit stops, making the stints work, fuel management, the like.
I think definitely. I think I haven't done many. I've done many long stints yet. I think that's something that I'm definitely going to be working on in the next few weeks. The 3 hours of Spa, and then in the few weeks after that, leading up to the 24 hours. Um, but yeah, doing longer stints is something that I definitely will be working on. At the moment, it's been finding that pace and been getting the lines, getting the time out of the car, picking the right car firstly, um, and just getting that speed up on the wheel, and then getting into the consistent laps as well, which I've been doing there. Doing a couple of shorter stints, um, shorter, longer runs, and then I'll be doing probably extending those long runs, really starting to get that consistency in there closer towards the time.
All right, cool. So, let's move things over into the real world. I don't normally do this for guests on the podcast, but that's what we're going to do from now on in this mini bridge series, and I'd like to do from time to time. So, Verstappen versus Hamilton. Who's going to win and why? Tiger Assassin.
Who's going to win, or who do I like better?
Well,
Is
I think that will kind of come out from when you say who do you think will win. Why?
in terms of who I think is going to win. I think it'll be Hamilton again. I think it's going to be close. I think Red Bull are good this year. I think Mercedes of this the new, obviously the new rigs. Is it rigs? Is that it? Yeah, the new aero setups. You know what I mean.
The
Um,
the new regulations.
yeah, the new regulations and stuff. I think um, in terms of those, I think Red Bull have improved on those. I think Mercedes have dropped. I think Hamilton will still win it. Um, I think it will be closer this season, definitely, than it was last season. It will be closer. Um, in terms of say like Mercedes constructors, I think it's um, I think once again, I think if Valtteri Bottas can beat Sergio Perez throughout the season, because then it's really a two-way battle, and it's the first drivers versus the second drivers, really, is what it's going to come down to. Is can Bottas beat Perez, and then that's obviously going to help Mercedes and constructors. But no, I think Hamilton will get it again this year, and I think it'll be interesting to see constructors because Bottas has been on and off this season, but so has Perez, to be fair. So not sure. It's gonna be an interesting one, as I say, but I think Hamilton will get it again this season.
Clearly, Red Bull just need Alex Albon back, the only driver after 5 races
Of
to be
course.
beating Max Verstappen on points. Clip said, "Eat your heart out." I know he's gonna watch this, and I'm gonna timestamp that for him. So, the Jeddah Street Circuit has been met with a mixed opinion from Formula One fans. What are your opinions on it, though, Tiger?
High speed.
I
um,
see.
high speed. Uh, not a lot of obvious overtaking points. I think it's gonna look what it feels to me is a little bit like Zandvoort. Bear with me on this, right? But you know how Zandvoort is a lot of very quick S's. Well, not S's. Very quick, very high speed track is Zandvoort. Not very many places to overtake in Zandvoort, really. Like turn 1, possibly turn 11. I think it's going to be like that, where it's going to be a lot of high speed corners, a lot of um, a lot of cars staying behind, and then it's going to be people trying to make some lunge. I think turn one maybe in Jeddah looks like the only place where you'd really be able to send it up the inside. But I think it's going to be cool to see at high speed. But I think I don't know how good it's going to be for racing and overtaking. We'd obviously just have to wait and see on that one.
Yes, indeed. So, that's all of the real world racing stuff done. Then we're gonna move on to some of your outside interests from motorsport and sim racing. For those of you who don't know.
In terms of outside interests,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm a football fan. Do you like football? Support of Newcastle United in the Premier League. Hope that doesn't start any controversy, because I know it does sometimes. Um, Obviously, I like playing on the PlayStation and stuff. Playing a bunch of different games other than racing games, because it ain't all about racing. In terms of one of my main interests, which I'm happy to share, is I don't know why, but ever since I was young, I've always been interested in theme parks and amusement parks. As to Saint, you'll probably already know, there's something that really really interests me. I don't know why. It's always been something since I was younger. My parents used to take me on a regular basis. And it's just something that when something that really interests you in a kid, it just stays with you. And I think that's just one of those things. I can never really quite put my finger on it why, but yeah, it's something that I plan to do in the future, alongside obviously, all sim racing and this and that. Something that I plan as a career in the future. But yeah, it's always been something that has really interested me, and it's something that's always been an escape for me in tough times. I mean, yeah, it's always because you always need something like that. Really, a hobby or an interest just to take you away from things, and it's always been there for me. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's really my main interest. Really, is theme parks, amusement parks. Other than that, football, playing games, and yeah, just I think that's it really.
Well, for those of you who want to know more about Tiger's interest in roller coasters, just confirm it's actually true. All you have to do is look at his profile picture, because I'm not sure what roller coaster it is, but it is a roller coaster of some description.
It's Nemesis at Alton Towers.
Nemesis
Look
at
that up.
Alton Towers. There
Yeah,
you go.
you can look that one up. There you go.
Tiger's future dominion, Alton Towers, out in the countryside of Stoke-on-Trent. So, finally, this is a question I'm going to ask to all new guests. If you could drive one car around any track in the world, what would it be?
One car. Does it have to be F1?
It doesn't have to be F1, it could be absolutely anything.
Oh, that's a question, That's a big question. That's a big, big question. For me, it's going to have to be an Aston Martin of some kind. For me, obviously, I love Aston Martin. I think in terms of, just trying to think now what Aston Martin I want, because I could go and just go, you know what, I'll take a Vantage V12 GT3 from GT Sport and race that, but I don't think I want to. I think for me, one of my favorite Aston Martins is the Vanquish. Love Aston Martin Vanquish. I think for me it wouldn't be one of the. I think it'd be an older style Vanquish, and I'd probably take it around Silverstone. I'd take an Aston Martin Vanquish around Silverstone for me. I think it's I think anything Aston Martin really though for me would be awesome to drive. Apart from that really ugly Aston Martin. What's it called again? Oh, what's that really bad Aston Martin called? I
The
can't even remember now.
what?
You
One of
know
the new ones.
no, none of this like an old style Aston Martin. It was horrible.
I have
I can't remember
absolutely
which one it
no
was now.
idea.
Yeah, it's gonna bug me now because I really can't remember what it is. Someone will know. Someone will comment it or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, but yeah, an Aston Martin, preferably a Vanquish, probably around Silverstone for me.
So there you have it then. My conversation with Tiger Assassin from Mount Panorama to roller coasters in the north of England, surprisingly. A very interesting individual, and I really hope that that interview gave you the opportunity to get a little bit closer with your future F1 admin. A big thank you to Tiger for coming on this week. And as I said at the beginning, keep a lookout over the next few weeks. We're going to be having more guests on, maybe some longer episodes, maybe some shorter episodes. We'll find out what works. But from me, big thank you to everyone who's listening. Big thank you to Tiger. And yeah, see you in the next one. Thank you for listening.